All right, welcome back from the weekend. All right, so here we're going to do a Chapter 8 Perpetual Inventory exercise. So once again, question number 1 is going to ask you, all right, your inventory method is perpetual and it is FIFO. All right. So each table I have here, no journalizing for this one because Chapter 7 and 8 exercise will take a look at journalizing, which that's all Chapter 7. Okay, this is just only Chapter 8. So let's see. The first thing that we have here is on September 5th, we purchased 100 units at $225 with a freight of $25. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my worksheet. And let's fill it out. Okay. So first things first, we got to recognize this FIFO. Okay. We're going to go ahead and put the date. So it's September 5th right now. And we're going to go ahead and jump right into the purchases section. Now, how I'm going to show you here is I'm not going to utilize colors. I'm just going to eliminate as I go. And what I mean by this is instead of cluttering my workspace, I'm actually going to utilize primarily sections 1 and 3. All right. And I'm going to show you how to do it. Go ahead. What was that?
We're doing the 8 to Perpetual, right?
No, we're doing just Chapter 8. All right, so once again, we're dealing with FIFO. Okay, I put the date here. So once again, I am not going to utilize the whole entire workspace. I'm going to show you once you've done this multiple times, you actually don't need to show your work in the middle section, okay? I'm going to show you the easier and quicker way to do it. But you do need to know how to use Excel because I will be cell referencing, okay? So the first things first is that, let's go ahead and go back because I can't remember what our scenario was. So on September 5th, we bought 100 units at $225 with a freight of $25. So we bought 100 units at $2.25 with a freight of $25. All right. So let me go ahead and format my window real quick. All right, so first things first. What do we need? What is my purchase price going to be? $225, okay? Plus my 50 is going to give me.
You mean plus 25?
Yeah.
That would be 250.
Good. All right. To give me a total cost of $250. All right. Because we're doing FIFO, what is going to be my cost per item?
$2.50.
$2.50. So once again, now that I placed it into my middle section, I'm going to transfer this over into my inventory on hand. Okay, so same thing here. The formula, because we're doing FIFO, your best bet is to get your accurate measurement or get your accurate total cost is to do your formula in your total cost. So here I need to do my 100 multiplied by my 250 to give me a grand total of $250. So there, I'm leaving it there. Now, because I'm placing it in order by chronological, right? There's no real reason why I need to make a color reference because I know what batch came first. Because I placed it in the order once I make a second one, it's obviously going to go right underneath it. So in this case, I don't really need colors unless I, want to keep track of it in my worksheet. In this case, I know for a fact this is my first batch and it's my only batch. Okay. All right. So with that, now I'm going to go ahead and move on to scenario number 2. What happened on September 10?
Purchase 200 units at $2.50 on account. Right cost is $50.
All right, hold on. No one came in? Okay. All right, sorry. Can everyone see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got 200 at 250 with the freight costing 50. So back to my FIFO. So again, we're dealing on September 10. We purchased another 200 at 250 with a freight of 50. So therefore, what is my purchase price?
100.
It is the 500, good. Plus my 50, 550, all right? Making my cost per item to be
75.
$275. So once again, I bought new inventory. So I'm going to transfer this information over into my inventory on hand. And that if I pull my formula down, it should still tell me that I have 550. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and see what happened next on September 15.
We sold 120 units at $10 each cash.
So here, September 15, we sold 120 units. So let's go September 15. We sold 120. Now let's take a look. What method are we dealing with?
FIFO.
FIFO. So in this case, let's take a look at my inventory on hand. How many batches do I have and which one am I going to begin with?
2 batches, and you're going to start with the 200.
Are we going to start with the 200? What method are we using?
I mean the 100.
We're going to start with the 100. So in this case, that means I need to break this up because I'm going to take, I only have 100 left in my first batch. Okay? So therefore, I need to also take 20 away from my second batch. So I'm going to highlight this one because I need to make sure that I'm aware that this isn't a cost of goods sold. This is a total cost of goods sold, okay? So if you want to, you can highlight that. Now, for a fact, I know that my 100 batch is going to cost me $2.50 each, right? Therefore, giving me a total of $2.50. So by me calculating it right here, instead of taking it out directly from here, I'm just going to go ahead and skip this section and go right across and say, well, I don't have 100 anymore. So boom, I immediately eliminate it. Okay. Now the next thing I have is I still have 200 left, but I still got to sell 20 more items. So how much is it going to cost me per item to sell from my 200 batch? What's my cost per item going to be? The $2.75. So in this case, you could do equal round just to ensure, even though I know it's a rounded number, just to ensure our calculations are correct. So in this case, how much is my total cost of goods sold if I sold 20 toys at $2.75 each?
$55.
$55. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this and format it. Okay, so it is $55. So in grand total, right, it should cost me $305 to sell 120 items, okay? Now, here I have 20 items that is sold. But now I need to actually update this. And what you can do here is you can formulate an equation, right? You could say I started out with 200 and I sold 20 items. All right? If you know, just in case you can't do the math in your head, you need a visual, right? So you can actually punch in the formula here. But if you can do your math or punch in your calculator, right, you can know that 200 minus 20 gives you 180, then you could go ahead and do this. But this is just in case, you're going to be dealing with lots of numbers. So in this case, I do it this way just so that it's useful and I don't make any errors by saying, oh, if I took 200 and I subtracted 20, right, I could have said 190, right? You definitely want to utilize and maximize the use of Excel, right? So in this case, I'm typing in a formula. I'm saying that I started out with 200 and I sold 20. So therefore, I should have a total of 180. It's going to automatically calculate for you, right? 180 times 275, which should give you 495. Okay? Now, if you're kind of unfamiliar or if you feel that you're not sure about this answer right here, go ahead and utilize the middle worksheet just so then you have a double checking point. Okay? The only number that we really need to look out for is when we come across anything that has half a penny. All right? Because that's where if you round your cost of goods sold, therefore you have to not round your ending inventory. Because if you round both of them, then that's where you'll get your extra penny somewhere else. All right, so that's the only one that you really, really want to keep your eyes out for. But in this case, this is a rounded number. It gave me 55. And if I look at this, I started at 550. If I did this in my mind, or if I take a calculator, right? If I do 550 and I subtract 55, my answer should be 495. Okay, so again, this is just to eliminate the workspace so that it doesn't look so cluttered and you don't have too many formulas in your worksheet. In this case, I eliminated my workspace and just took from section 1 and took it directly out from my inventory. And I just placed the formula inside my inventory on hand, okay? Just so then that helps me keep track of my own I can keep track of my inventory that way. Okay, so again, if you like putting the calculations in the middle, go ahead and do so you can double confirm every time you make a transaction. But in this case, I can just instead of taking the extra formula and the extra time to fill out the middle section, I can go ahead and skip that over and just take it right out of inventory. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be more or less at least 95% of the time it should be correct. The only thing you have to watch out as far as that half of a penny. Okay, so there you go. Any questions so far? No. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive into the next one. What happened next?
You sold 50 units at $10 each, no sales tax.
Okay, so September 18. So September 18, we sold an additional 50 items, okay? How many batches do I still have left? One. So in this case, what's my cost per item? $2.75. And once again, I'm going to run my formula in here, equal round, just to ensure, comma 2. All right, so what's my total cost of goods sold here? $137.50. So from here, I sold an additional 50 items. So right here, I can take my 180 and subtract out my 50 items to get me 130 remaining. And that's going to automatically recalculate to my total amount of $357.50. Okay. If you want to recalculate this to ensure that that's correct, you may do so, and it should be correct. Because we started out with $495 minus the $137.50, you should get $357.50. Okay. All right, good with me so far?
Yes.
All right. So then what has happened next?
You purchased 300 units at $275 on September 20th.
Okay, so September 20, right? We could skip our cost of goods sold section, and we purchased 300 items at $275 with a freight of $75. Okay, so what is my total purchase price here? $825. Okay.
The 75 is 900.
900. Bringing my cost per item to be
$3 per item.
$3 per item. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and transfer this information right ahead and into my inventory worksheet. Right? Like that, exactly like that. So now I have a total, if you have a running balance, you should have a total of 430 items. Okay? But in this case, I don't really care to calculate that because I don't need to know. As long as I can look here and see that at least I have these amount of items, I don't really need to have a total running balance at all times. Okay. All right. So what has happened next?
I don't want to keep answering because I don't know if we're supposed to be taking turns answering or.
Anybody else want to volunteer?
25th of September, we sold 250 units at $10.25 each cash, no sales tax.
So we sold an additional 250 items on September 25th. Okay, so September 25th. September 25th, we sold, did I say 250?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at our batches. Do we need to, so which batch are we going to take from first? Okay, so we have to break it up. So 130 is going to be the first batch that we're taking away. And we need to get a total of 250. So therefore, how much do we need to take out from our second batch?
120.
120. So once again, this should be a calculated amount, right? So here I'm going to add my 130 to my 120, should give me 250. All right. Now looking for my first batch. Oops. No. Okay. So looking at my first batch. Okay. How much is it going to cost me? No. Okay. All right, okay, forget this formula. Okay, so for my first batch, how much is it going to cost me to sell the whole entire thing? 357.50. So again, if you just threw out your formula, it should be 357.50. Okay? And you can choose to eliminate it right now, right? Since I'm already here, I got rid of my whole entire batch of 150. So now I'm left with 300 items at $3 each. Okay. I need to sell 120 more items. So at what cost am I going to calculate that with?
$3.
So let's go ahead and throw my formula here. So this is, obviously I know this is a rounded number, so I'm going to go ahead and just throw my formula in. So what is my total cost of goods sold? 360. Okay. So let's try this formula one more time. So if I'm going to go up 1 plus this, I should get a grand total of $717.50. Okay. And for a fact, I know I sold 120 items. So I need to go ahead and go up to my 300 and update this, right? So 300 minus, right, 120 should give me a remainder of 180, right? And it multiplied across, so it's even 540 right now. Okay. Does everyone go with me so far?
Yes.
All right. So let's see what is my last scenario. So here, or I'm sorry, second to last scenario. So what happened here?
Sold 130 units at 1025.
We sold an additional 130 items. So for sure, for a fact, we do have it, right? We're at 180. But let's look at our last scenario just so that we can make sure that this happens, right? At the end of the September, we should have 50 items left, okay? So let's go ahead and plug that in. So September 28, we sold an 27. Okay, so September 27, we sold 130. All right. And because we only have one batch left, right, we know that it's going to cost me $3 each. So what is going to be my total cost of goods sold here?
390.
$390, right? And boom. All we need to do is now update our inventory from 180 to, okay, so 180 minus 130 should give me 50 items remaining. And what do you know? That's exactly what our scenario says, that we should have a total of 50 items at the end of June, costing me, I'm sorry, September, costing me $3 each, right? Does everyone go with me so far?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. So let's go ahead and continue on with our next problem here. So it says for number 2 that we're actually going to continue from above, okay? So it says that here that but this time your inventory method is perpetual, but it's LIFO. Okay, so we're going to utilize the beginning inventory from the previous one. However, we're switching it up. We're not doing FIFO anymore. We're going to do LIFO. So in this case, on September 30th, you should have had a total of 50 toys on hand, which in this scenario, it says that it should have cost you 150, which, is that true from our inventory worksheet? Yes. We ended up with $50 at 50 items at $3, costing me a total of 150. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my new inventory worksheet because this time, I'm starting on a new month. So this time it's going to be, I'm going to recognize the last day of the month, which is September 30th, right? Because we know that we should have on hand in inventory $50 50 items at $3, costing a total of 150. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. All right, let's move this over. So 50 at $3 should give me a total of 150. So once again, I'm going to format these real quick just so then my cells look good. Okay, so I got 50 items. That's my beginning inventory. All right, and let's format this real quick as well. So that's our very first thing, is that we carried over our beginning inventory. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our scenario here. So then on October 5th, what happened here?
Purchased 100 units at $325 for a freight of $25.
Okay, so we ended up on October 5th purchasing an additional 100 items at $3.25 each with a freight of $25. So what is going to be my purchase price? $325. Okay, what's my total cost? $350. And because we're doing LIFO, what is going to be my cost per item? $3.50 each. So once again, I made a new purchase. I need to recognize it under my inventory. So I have 100 here, costing me a total of $350, which in this case, my formula that I want to keep is going to be in my total cost of goods sold. Or just total cost of my ending inventory. Okay. So here I should have now 150. All right, items available to sell. All right. So then, now, what else has happened on October 10?
October 10,
October 10.
we purchased 200 units at 350 with a freight of 50.
Perfect. So now we have another purchase. So it is now October 10. We purchased 200 at 350 with a freight of 50. Okay. So let's go ahead and determine what the purchase price is going to be.
$700.
700. All right.
750.
Good. 750. And my total cost per item?
It's $375.
$3.75 each. So once again, I made a purchase of new inventory. I'm going to carry this over into my inventory on hand. Okay. So now how many batches do we have in total?
2.
We purchased 2 batches, but what else?
We had our beginning inventory.
And we have our beginning inventory. So in this case, we have a total of 3. Let's look at our inventory on hand. We got 1 batch for 50, 1 batch for 100, and 1 batch for 200. Okay. All right. So then what has happened on October 12th?
You sold 180 at 375.
Good. We sold 180 items. So let's go ahead and just write the date down. So 10/12. We sold 180, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at our batches. If we are using LIFO, which batch are we going to be taking out from first?
The last one.
The last one of 200, right? Which cost me how much per item?
$375.
$375. So once again, I'm just going to go ahead and throw in my equal round just in case. Okay. Comma 2. All right. So what's my total cost of goods sold here?
$675.
$675. So I'm going to format this real quick. Okay. Excellent. Now we can go ahead and directly take it out of my inventory, right? If I started out with 200 items and I sold a total of 180, how much should I have left in my inventory? Right, so in this case, I didn't take the entire batch yet, so I should have 20 left. Yes. So in this case, boom, I should have $75 worth left in my inventory. Okay. If you want to go back and figure that out, right? What is what is 750 minus 675? Should be 75 left. Okay. Does everyone go with me so far? Okay. So now, what else has happened on October 18?
We sold another 100 units
All right. So we sold another 100 units.
at $375 each.
Okay. So
Wow.
in this case, okay. So how much do we have left in our ending inventory?
We only have 20.
Okay, so we only have 20. So at least we're going to recognize our first 20. What's our goal that we need to sell? How? We need to sell 100. So 100 minus 20, that means I have to take 80 away from our second batch, okay? So once I got my highlight, that's why I know that it's not a cost of goods sold, it's a total, okay? So from here, we can already recognize that we're going to get rid of the entire 20 batch, right, at $375. So in this case, we know for a fact that it should equal $75, right? And we could go ahead and eliminate that right away. Boom. So now, which batch are we going to take out from next?
The 100.
100.
From the 100, yes, which cost me $3.50 each. So how much is going to be my cost of goods sold for selling 80 items?
350.
Say that again.
$350.
That's 100 times 350. So let's try that again. So here I only sold 80 times 350. So what's my total here?
$280.
280. Good. So now that I have this piece of information that I sold 80 items, I can go ahead and update my inventory now. If I started out with 100, okay, and I sold 80, how much should I have remaining?
$20.
20. So there you go. Boom. 20 times 350 should give you a total of $70.
That's
All right.
October 18th.
October 18.
Yes. As I'm following, I'm looking at that, so I kept going back and forth. I'm like, oh, that's it.
Okay. So there you go. Thank you. So there you go. In grand total on the 18th, for selling a total of 100 items, it cost me a total of $355. All right. So remember, when you're journalizing this section here, you cannot journalize 20 of the items were $75 and then another item, the other 80 items were at 280. You need to journalize it as a whole, okay? Because they're all going to come out from the same accounts anyway, right? They're all coming out from our inventory. So why waste journal space to journalize this twice when you can just go ahead and just add them up together? Okay. Okay, so then what has happened on October 20th?
We purchased 300 units at 375.
So 300, 300, 375, and 75. So LIFO, once again, it is now October 20th, and we purchased 300 items at 375 with a freight of 75. So then here, what is going to be my totals here?
1125.
Okay, so let me see. Okay, $11.25 plus $75 freight gives me a grand total cost of
1200.
$1,200. And then lastly, what's my cost per item going to be?
$4.
$4. So once again, I made a new purchases of inventory, so I'm going to go ahead and bring it in. So I have 300 at $4 to give me a grand total of 1,200. Okay. Everyone go with me so far?
Yes.
Okay. So then, what has happened on October 25th?
Sold 200 units at 375.
We sold
$4, I mean.
200. Yes. So in this case, we're going to go to our worksheet real quick. So 1025. We sold a total of 200 units, right? Okay. And we're, like Melinda said, we're going to take it away from our last batch that we just purchased, which was for $4 each. So in this case, yes, that's correct because that's the last thing that we purchased. So that's the first thing we're going to take out is going to be that $4 each. So in this case, how much is my total cost of goods sold?
800.
800, right? And we could go ahead and eliminate that right away. So 300 has minus 200, which then we can know that should be 100. So boom. So now I have 400 left dollars for that 100 batch. Okay. And I still got 50 from the beginning, and I still got 20 from the first purchase that we've made. So yeah, so we should have a total of 170. Right? Last but not least, or second to last, what happened here? How much did I sell?
150.
You sold 150 and you should have a remaining by the end of October 31st, 20 units. So let's go ahead and verify that. So I have, what is this? October 28, right? October 28. So first things first, let's look at our batches. We got 3 batches, right? So our first batch only has 100. So we can automatically eliminate that one. How much is my second batch for? What's my second batch I'm going to be taking out from?
The 20.
20, good. So therefore, I need to sell how many more from my other batch to get me a grand total of 150? how much more do I need to sell to get to a total of 150? We need to sell 30 more. So just going down or going up the list in this case, right? Let's eliminate one at a time. So for this one, we know for a fact we're going to eliminate the whole thing. So it should be for the 400. Okay, 400. Boom. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and eliminate that, right? We don't have this 100 anymore. We sold it. We sold it already. Okay. Now, next we have this 20 batch. We're going to get rid of this entire 20 batch. So we know for a fact that this 20 batch should equal to me the $70, right? Because it costs $3.50 each. $70. Boom. And by doing that, I'm going to also eliminate that from my worksheet, right? Because I don't have that 20 items anymore. Last but not least, I only have one batch left. How much does it cost per unit or per item?
$3.
It's going to cost me $3 per item. So in this case, right, if I total it up, it should be for $90, right? 3 times 30 equals 90, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and eliminate that directly from, I know I have 50s and I sold a total of 30 items. So therefore, I should have 20 items left in my inventory, costing me a total of $60, right? $3 times 20 equals 60. So in this case, that is how I did this one. Is everyone okay with this one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're still good on time. So let's go ahead and complete the very, very, very last one. So question number 3, all right, says continue from above, right? Your inventory method this time is going to be perpetual, and this time it's going to be moving average, okay? So then I also said round your average cost per item to 4 decimal places. So in this case, I want you to purposely round the average cost per item to be 4 decimal places. All right, so I gave you specific instructions. Okay, so the first thing that you have to recognize is I'm carrying it over from our previous inventory worksheet, right? I have beginning inventory as of October 31st that I should have 20 items costing a total of $60. Okay, so that therefore I'm going to go ahead and move that piece of information into my inventory on hand. So I have 20 items at $3 each, right? Now in this case, I don't care about calculating my total cost. What I do care about is calculating my average cost per item. So in this case, where does my formula lie? Where does my formula lie in this scenario?
In the center.
In the center, right? Because in this case, I'm not looking at my cost per item. I'm looking at my average cost per item. I'm going to be constantly calculating that over and over again because every time I make a purchase of inventory, I need to calculate an average cost. Every time I sell my inventory, I need to recalculate my average cost. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and extend the formula down because this can take up all the way down here, right? And I'm also going to, like I said, it wants me to round them to, maybe I should do the formula in here. So in this case, I want equal round, right? Because it says I want to round to 4 decimal places. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to divide it by my quantity, comma, 4. I want it to be rounded to 4 decimal places. So in this case, right, I only show 2, so I want to make sure I show all 4, okay? And because I have this formula in there, I'm going to go ahead and drag that formula back down again. So to make sure that now all of these have that new formula in there. It's going to be an equal round formula, okay? Because I specified that I want my average cost per item to be rounded to 4 decimal places, okay? So there you go. I have my first piece of information here. And I have to also write the date that on October 31st, I should have a beginning balance in my inventory worksheet. Yes. Equal round. You're going to take your total cost. You're going to divide it by your quantity. And I want it to be I want the decimal places to be 4 decimal places.
Okay, equal round. I'm doing something else.
Okay, usually to clear it out, just make sure you press enter and then go back into it again.
Okay, so the quantity is 20, and then cost per item is gonna be.
No, you got to do. So it's equal round. Your total cost divided by your quantity, comma 4.
Okay.
Okay, so because because like I've mentioned it before, right? The scenario says I want to round the average cost per item to 4 decimal places. Okay.
Then we just drag down the cost per item formula.
If you yes to save you some time, so go ahead and find that little that triangle, that green triangle. Make sure your mouse is different, and then drag it all the way down. You can drag it down as far as you want, but in this case, the scenario is not that long, so it shouldn't be that long. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and dive into the first scenario here. So on November 2nd, what did we do?
Purchased 100 units at $3, freight 25.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and it is now November 2nd. We're looking at 100 items at $3 each with the freight costing 25. Okay. So
Total purchase is 300. Add freight 325.
good. So total purchase price is 300 plus the freight of 25 to give you a total cost of 325. Now, this is what I like to do, just so then it makes it easier and I don't have to, add any more clutter space into my worksheet, right? So, in this same exact row, okay, I'm going to go ahead and enter in a formula. I'm going to say that my total quantity is going to be my 20 items plus my 100 items I just purchased to give me equal 120 items. Okay? I'm also going to do the same thing to my total cost as well, right? Because my whole goal is I need to get my total quantities and my total cost before I can calculate my average cost per item. So in this case, right, I'm going to do the same exact formula, except I'm going to be taking my total cost. So I'm going to take my total cost of 60 plus my new total cost of 325 to get a grand total of $3.85. And in this case, I've because I placed the formula in my cost per item section, it automatically calculated it for me. So here I have a total of 120 items available, costing me a grand total of $3.85. Now, Ken, you could do the math in your head, right? What's 325 plus 60? $3.85. Okay, so here all I really care about is this number in the middle, because I want to know how many items will it cost me to sell for every item I sell, right? And in this case, once again, I'm going to utilize that method that I like to do where I don't want to be able to see my information from above. So I'm just going to black it out just so then I know it's still there, but I don't want it to display because I don't want to get confused. Okay, so here I am at 120. Go ahead.
You got a different number on the cost per item.
We rounded to 4 decimal places, right?
Yes, but I just found something that she
I
probably.
thought we purchased 100 items.
We did, didn't we?
No, we put one.
We put 120.
Well, no, we put 100 over in the quantity, but no, if you only have 2 decimal places in that cost of item, move your decimal places under the number, because I was just in, I have 4 for my decimal places, but it was only showing 2.
No, that's not what it is. On November 2nd, you purchased 100 units and you put in for the perpetual, you put 120.
Because we have beginning inventory.
20.
Oh, so we would change that particular cell to add the 20 up top?
Yes, because our goal is we're doing moving average, right? What do we know about moving average? Do we care about what came first and what came last?
No.
What do we care about?
Total.
What's the total? So in this case, if I had 20 to begin with, right?
Right?
And I purchased 100, so how much should I have in total? 120. Right? I did the same thing in my total cost, right? If I had originally $60 to begin with, and I added my new purchases of the 325, how much should my total cost be?
So is there a way that, did you put a formula into that cell to keep adding the numbers that are on top of it, or no?
What do you mean? Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I just added the cell above, and I added this cell right here too.
Okay, got it.
Okay? That's exactly what I did to this too. I just added my 60 to my 325 to give me my grand total here. So therefore, your calculation should be more or less correct. Because I told Excel, hey, I want you to calculate this, but I want you to stop at 4 decimal places. So it should be $3.28. Now, of course, you need to you need to format your cells to display all 4 numbers.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I did a few works here. I formatted, I entered in a formula, and I also, I did a lot of formatting in here. Okay. So once again, all the worksheets, they're not formatted because I don't know how you want to display your information. So I leave that up to you to format it yourself. Okay, so we're good here? We're good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's see what happened next.
November 8th, you purchased 200 units at $275 on account and $50 freight.
So 200, 275, 50. So once again, we made another purchase of inventory. So it is November 8. Okay. We purchased 200 at 275 with a freight of 50. Okay. So once again, what's my total purchase price?
purchase price is $550.
$550. Good. Plus 50 gives me a total cost of 600. Good, good. So now we have new inventory. So what do we need to do?
Add the 200.
We need to add the 200 to the 120 because now we have a new total quantity, right? We started out with 120. Now we have an additional 200. So therefore, we should have a total of 320. Okay. Same thing here, right? We started out with a total cost of 385. Now that we have a new quantity and a new cost, we need to add the 600 together to get our new total cost. All right, so the 385 plus 600 should give you 985. So therefore, because I've already entered in the formula already, it should automatically calculate for you. Okay, or in other words, you can recalculate it by obviously taking your total cost of 985 and dividing it by your new quantity of 320 to give you your new average cost. So in this case, right, I no longer have my 120 at 385, so I can go ahead and hide this information once again. Because I don't really need it, but I don't want to delete it because that will cause my formula to, shift and it be more of a mess. So you want to just hide your information. Okay. So there it is. My average cost per item has now increased to decreased now to $3.78. So, yes, per item. Okay. Is everyone good with me so far?
Yes.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and see what happens when we sell our items. So in this case, what happened on November 15th?
We sold 115 items.
Yes, we did. We sold 115 items. So here we sold on November 15. November 15. 115 items. Okay? Yes. Okay, so now we need to figure out how much is it going to cost us per item. So what? Perfect. 3.781, right? That's what we calculate as our average cost per item. That's how much we're going to sell each item. And because we are dealing with journalizing this number, we have to round to our nearest penny because you cannot charge somebody half a penny. So in this case, this is another formula, right? The equal round. It's the same exact formula, except this time I don't want 4 decimal places. I want it to be rounded to the 2. All right. So what is going to be my total cost of goods sold? $353.98. And because this number's rounded, right? And this number's not. But what we can do is, this is what we have to do next. In my next cell here, right? If I started out with 320 items, right? And I sold 115, how much should I have left?
205.
We should have 205. So from here, what I just did is I just entered a simple formula, right? I just cell reference and use the keys. I took my 320, I subtracted out my 115 to get me a total of 205. Okay? You're going to have to do the same thing to your total cost too, because remember, we need to keep, we just sold our items. So we need to make sure that every time we sell something, we need to constantly update our average cost per item. So in this case, right, if I started out with $985, right, and I sold $353.98, how much should I have remaining?
631.02.
So 631.02, because I directly took it away from these ones, right? Both of these numbers are supposed to be rounded. Therefore, my new average cost per item shows that it didn't not change, right? Because when I sold something, it didn't make a drastic change in my numbers. So in this case, my calculation is still the same. But I still, if I were to leave this if I didn't round my numbers, it would have been insignificant enough, but it would have changed whether it's a tenth of a penny, thousandth of a penny, 10,000th of a penny. It would slowly either change, increase, or decrease. But in this case, nope, because I rounded it to the 4 decimal places, it's still at this number right here. All right? And of course, I don't need that number anymore. I don't need the information from above anymore. All I need to focus is I have 205 items left in my inventory. Okay? So is everyone good here now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So then what happened next? What happened next on November 18?
We sold 145 units.
Okay, we sold 145 units. So, November 18. Did you say 145?
Yes.
Okay, we sold 145 units, okay? At what cost?
$3.71.
Good. So, if I have that number in here, right? What is going to be my total cost of goods sold?
So that would be equal around $446.32.
44632. Perfect, right? I just dragged my formula down because it's equal round. These two numbers, comma, 2. Good. 44632. So now that I sold this amount, right? I do the same thing over here, right? If I started with 205, but I sold 145, how much should I have left? 60. Good. Same thing here. If I started with my 631.02 and I sold a total of 32, how much should I have left? Well, no,
70.
180, yeah, sorry, 184.70, good. All right, and because I put my formula in there, it automatically calculated for me. So I should have 30,783. So it has changed and it increased by 1,000th of a penny. Okay, so I don't need that information anymore. So is everyone good with me so far?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we got 3 more scenarios left, so let's go ahead and just finish it off and then we'll go on a break. So once again, November 20th, what happened here?
Purchased 300 units at 250.
Okay, with a freight of 75, so 300, 250, 75. So I think it was November 20th. I can't remember the dates anymore. November 20th, yes, purchased 300, 250, and freight of 75. So 300, 250, freight of 75. So therefore, what is my total purchase price here? 750 with plus 75 gives me a total cost of
825.
825. Good. So then let's go ahead and add that into my inventory. So what's my total total quantity going to be?
360.
$360 with a total cost of
$1,009.70.
thousand. Ooh,
Wait, what?
hold on. Let me add that again. I think I subtracted. So yes, 1,009.70. Yes, I subtracted. My bad. All right, so there it is. 1009.70 because I just added those two numbers together. So now I have a new average cost, which dropped me down to $2.80. Okay, because when I purchased it for $2.50. So as I made my purchases, it became smaller. So now, again, I'm spreading my total cost amongst the total quantity, right? Hence the word average. Okay. So now I have 360 available left to sell. So then what happened on November 25th?
You sold 175.
Okay, so here we are, November 25. We sold 175. Okay. At what cost?
$2.8047.
Good. So then what is my total cost going to be here? So, comma 2.
We could comment. We wouldn't round that to the 4.
No, no, because in the cost of goods sold always needs to be rounded to the nearest penny. You can't sell somebody 80 and 47th of a penny. Right? Can you charge somebody 47th of a penny? No. But in our calculations we can because that's how much it costs me. But I'm talking about how much I'm selling to my customer. Can I charge them 47th of a penny? No, they're going to ask you to round up to the nearest penny. So in this case, I have to round to 2 decimal places because you need to round to the nearest penny.
So it'd be 490.82.
Yes, 490.82. Good. So once again, because I sold, I'm going to subtract out this number. So what's my new quantity going to be?
185.
185. Same thing here. What's my new total cost?
518.88.
518.88, and boom, my new average cost has increased by another thousandth of a penny. All right. Last but not least, okay, how many more items did we sell on the 28th?
125.
125, and we should have 60 items left remaining. So let's go ahead and prove that. Okay. So once again, it is now November 28th, and we sold 125 at what cost?
$2.8048.
$2.8048. So therefore, what is my total cost of goods sold?
350.60.
350.60. Excellent. Okay. Last but not least, now we got to update our inventory. So if I started out with 185 and I subtract 125, how much should I have remaining?
60.
60, and what do you know? That's exactly what the scenario says. I should have 60 left on hand. Okay? And let's go ahead and calculate our total cost. So what's my new total cost going to be?
168.28.
168.28, and there's my new average cost. It decreased again by 1,000th of a penny. Any questions? Okay. Any questions? Okay. So let's review this one more time. From the very beginning, we started out with using colors so we can recognize where things are taking out from where. Second time, we dropped a few colors, right? We just only flooded the cost of goods sold and we also flooded the inventory on hand. Now, this one is where we actually don't really need to use colors. If you really think about it, you know, the order of the items come in order, right? There's no real purpose to really need the colors unless you still need to be able to take away the cost of goods sold. But in this case, I just showed you how to go from colors to no colors. And I've also showed you how to go from utilizing the middle section, right, flooding it with your formulas. But now we simplified it. We made it a lot more easier. We decided to just take the formulas and just add them directly into the inventory on hand to make it a little more simplified, all right? So any questions on how this works, okay? So as you continue to progress and practice Chapter 8, doing these inventory worksheets, you're going to notice that, you know, you're going to become more quicker and you're not going to need a few things. Now, in this case, this is the most simplest way you can do it, right? You're using each column specifically for their what they're meant for, right? You're keeping all your cost of goods sold in one section, you're keeping all your purchases in another, and you're keeping all of your inventory on hand, and you're updating your inventory on hand as you go, okay? So any questions in regards to how we completed these worksheets? And you know what? We got through this scenario probably 10 times faster than the previous couple days.
Yeah.
Without using the colors. Okay? So again, once again, this takes practice and understanding what to do, but now that we kind of got the motion of it, you could see how much quicker we can get through this and make our spreadsheets look a lot cleaner. Now, that's only if you are the inventory manager and you're keeping charge of your own inventory or whatever inventory for the company and you're keeping your own records. Now, once again, if you're doing this for the rest of your career, right? Can you imagine if you're the only one that can see this and you're the only one that notices this, right? If your boss decides to come up to you and say, what is the transaction that happened on the 18th of November? You would have to pull your worksheet and be like, well, I mean, how did I get there, right? Because I decided to, you know, use my workspace as how I see right here, right? I didn't show my work. All I know is, well, I sold 145 units, all right? And it made my inventory drop down to whatever, right? If you uncover it, you could get that much information, but can you give your boss that? No, you're going to have to recalculate and be like, well, this is the new calculation now. Okay, so again, it really depends on how much, organized you are and how you see the things, the stuff that you want to do for, continue on for your, whatever you're doing, whether you're keeping track of inventory or keeping track of your purchases or keeping track of your sales. For whatever it is, that's what you're going to be doing. So everybody's Excel worksheet will look different. No one's going to have the same one. But now that we finally have some kind of mutual understanding, right? We understand how the worksheet works. Now it's all about how you interpret it and how you prepare it yourself, okay? As long as you get the answer to be correct. So in this case, your answer should be this answer right here, okay? All right, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop here. So it is now 3:15 or 3:16.